Three things to watch in the stock market this week. That is what we're going to be talking about in this video today, guys. Obviously, there's some big things going on in the world this week. I'm sure you're already aware of a couple of them. We're actually going to cover those in this video. But first, as always, make sure you're hitting that thumbs up button. I appreciate every single one of you that watched this video, and I appreciate even more if you're part of the thumbs up gang. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel as well. More and more content is being put out. More and more content is coming. I really hope you guys have enjoyed what's been put out so far, and I know you guys are really going to enjoy what is to come. So obviously, the first thing to watch this week in the market is the election. And I keep seeing articles and posts that saying if Biden wins, the stock market's going to crash. Well, here's my response to that right off the jump. Look at this tidbit right here. This is from an article written in 2016, right before President Trump actually took office. The conventional wisdom is that right off the bat, the stock market would fail precipitously. Simon Johnson, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology Economics, posed that Trump's presidency would likely cause the stock market to crash and plunge the world into recession. He predicted that Mr. Trump's anti-trade policies would cause a sharp shutdown, much like British are experiencing after their vote to exit the European Union. So based off this article, if Trump did win that election in 2016, which obviously he did because he's in office right now, it'd be game over for the market, like game over. Here's another one. If Donald Trump wins the election, US stock and likely many other markets overseas will almost certainly tank. Look at this one. Stock market would fall 8% if Trump wins, forecasting firm says. That's according to models from forecasting firm Macroeconomic Advisors, which estimates that a Trump victory would cause stocks to head south dramatically, riled by the uncertainty of his economic policies, which includes threats against Mexico and China, two of America's top trade partners. There's just a lot of uncertainty surrounding a Trump presidency, says Joe Prakken, Senior Managing Director of Macroeconomic Advisors. There's all kinds of stuff to be worried about here. So after reading all that, just look at the market. Look at where the market was prior to, forget prior to the virus breaking out. Just look at the market full view here. Look at where the Dow was in January of 2016 when Trump took over. The Dow's over 10,000 points since that happened. So it's not like the market's really declined at all, I would say. It's not like the Dow's down to 10,000. Now check this Forbes article. Obviously, you've probably seen this in other videos. You've seen it around. It's been going around the internet a lot. It's a big deal now. Financial education made it big. Whatever you want to say, I'm not the first one showing this article in a video, okay? But throughout the history of the stock market, with every president that comes into office, the market generally goes up. Generally. Not always, but generally it goes up. So even if Biden does win this election, right, which if you're following the polls, it just seems like he's going to win the election. I personally would be surprised for a Trump victory. Again, we're not getting political in this, on my views at all in this video. We're just talking about the facts. And even though I guess that's more of an opinion on who I think is going to win the election, I really would be surprised to see Trump win the election at this point. But anyway, the whole point of this rant here is the stock market generally goes up over time. No matter who wins the election, the stock market generally goes up. But most importantly, look what happens to the market during an election year. And people don't know this, I'm sure, but the stock market is actually a really great indicator of who is actually going to win the election. So 1 month prior to the election, if the incumbent party, I guess, is projected to lose, we'll say, the S&P usually ends up declining. The Dow is down between 1,500 and 2,000 points over the last month. It's definitely taken a hit. We've seen a lot of red days lately, a lot. I believe 10 or so, in the last 14, we've seen a ton of red days. The S&P is also down over 100 points over the last month. Again, we've seen a ton of red days, a lot more red than green recently. And then after that, the stock market usually continues to decline into the election. And then after the election, the market usually tends to continue to decline as well, regardless of who's going to win. And even if the incumbent party is projected to win, the market still usually goes down after an election generally. It usually goes down. That's important here. Regardless of if the incumbent party wins or not, which is President Trump, keep in mind, he's the incumbent party. If you didn't know that, if you didn't know the incumbent party, what the definition was, whatever. Now you know, Trump is the incumbent party. The market generally goes down before eventually going higher. Remember that, guys, over the next couple of months here. Remember that if you see the market go down, don't be afraid, just remember what I just said. That's very important. Now, I see people concerned about Biden wanting to raise taxes, which obviously is bad news for the stock market. But in this background, I guess, comes more so from me having a policy background and taking policy classes in college. And I saw financial education mention this, and someone's gonna in the comments, it's gonna be like, oh, you just got that from him. I had the same thought process. He beat me to it, props to him. Okay, he's better. Whatever you wanna say, go ahead and comment it down below. But anyway, so for taxes, right? It's not as easy to raise it as you might think. So first of all, he comes into office. This is assuming Biden wins, that is. First of all, Biden comes into office in January. He's got the virus situation he's got to take care of. Something tells me that might be his major priority. Secondly, he's also got stimulus package negotiations he's got to work out some way or another that just keep getting put off more and more. And Raising taxes is not that easy. He can't just do it by himself. He can't just snap his fingers and raise taxes. It's not that easy. And what he wants to do, he wants to take more money away from people. When Trump made those cuts, he gave money to people. And look at that, when Trump cut taxes, it took him, I believe, about 2 years. I think when he came into office in January of 2016, I believe it took about the end of 2017 for those tax cuts to actually go into society. So it's not going to be an overnight thing by any means. And it's definitely a lot harder to take more money away from people than to give money. So it might take, honestly, the majority of his first term. So bottom line, it's going to be a while before those taxes are actually raised. Anyway, guys, election day is Tuesday. Be ready for some dips in the market, and don't be afraid to take advantage of any opportunities once they start opening up. Anyway, number 2 we're going to talk about here is virus cases. I know I've mentioned this in the past couple of videos, but it is important here, and in my opinion, it's going to start affecting the markets very shortly. U.S. reports record 99,321 new virus cases as scientists warn latest surge just beginning. U.S. reported 99,321 new cases on Friday, beating its previous record set only a day prior as the pandemic worsens in nearly every corner of the nation. We're at a point where the epidemic is accelerating across the country. We're right at the beginning of the steep part of the epidemic curve. Dr. Scott Gottlieb, Gottlieb. Okay, got it. The former U.S. Food and Drug Administrator Commissioner told CNBC's The News with Shepard Smith on Friday evening. You'll see cases start to accelerate in the coming weeks, he said, predicting the height of the country's recent surge will be reached around Thanksgiving. Said that December is probably going to be the toughest month. So guys, you know what this means. You know the risk. You know what could possibly happen. You've seen the Dow go down to 18.5. You've seen cases through the roof. You know the risk here. You're also seeing other countries beginning to shut down as well. Prime Minister Boris Johnson imposed a stay-at-home order in England as virus cases surge. England will adopt a second national lockdown as virus cases run rampant in the United Kingdom, closing all non-essential businesses but leaving schools open for the next 4 weeks as it tries to suppress the virus, Prime Minister Boris Johnson announced on Saturday. People will be ordered to stay at home unless it's for essential purposes, including education, medical reasons, or to shop for groceries, Johnson said during a press conference in London. Pubs, bars, and restaurants must close except for a takeaway and delivery. This is not good to see, guys. Like, this is really not good to see. Remember last time we started to see this? It's almost kind of like a deja vu. We saw other countries shut down, and all of a sudden one state shut down, 2 states shut down, and before you know it, the whole world and the whole United States was in lockdown mode. So are we going to shut down again? Honestly, I would not be surprised to shut down again. I could be wrong. I could definitely, by all means, be wrong. I really could be wrong, but I would not be surprised to see everything shut down again for some period of time, because I just don't see this getting better anytime soon. Me, I know I went out the other night and I just saw so many crowds of people, and I'm just like, this is not right. This is not going to help keep everything open. So I do think it would not be, or I wouldn't be surprised rather, to see things starting to shut down again, but we will see what happens. But here's something important, right? When cases start to rise and things do shut down and the stock market does dip, because it will dip one way or the other. I truly believe it will dip very shortly. Why are you selling off your investments? What is that reason? Please let me know in the comments right now. Why sell your investments during something like this? Say you like Facebook, right? You're willing to buy Facebook at 300. You're willing to buy it at all-time highs. What's the difference of buying it at 300 and 200 other than paying a cheaper price? If the business model is the same and the company hasn't changed, none of the management team has left, everything's still the same, and obviously it can get through something like this, which obviously Facebook will. It's not something that's going to go BK or anything like that. What's the point of selling? Please let me know in the comments. I really want to know why people like to try to play the timing game and sell out here and oh, buy back in here. Like, why? What is that reason? Let me know, please, down below. I really would like to know that. And if you can play that timing game and it works out for you, hey man, good for you. You're a better man than I, but I would not want to play that game. I just want to hold these companies for 5-10 years and see the returns I feel like I really am going to see over time. Anyway, keep an eye on the virus cases. Be prepared for a shutdown, worst case scenario, and keep some money on the sideline because we are going to see some deals opening up soon, I truly believe. And to branch off that second point, we're going to go into number 3, which is a little cheating, someone might say, but we're going to run with it anyway because it is very important, and that is to keep an eye on other countries shutting down. As I mentioned before, England shut down recently, and it honestly might be a little while before they open back up again. Less than a day after Prime Minister Boris Johnson announced a month-long lockdown for England, one of his top ministers and closest allies signaled the measures might have to be extended if they fail to contain the spread of the virus. It will get reviewed on December 2nd, but we're always driven by what the data showed. Cabinet Officer Minister Michael Gove said on the Sky News' Sophie Ridge's show, "We will always take the decision in the national interest based on the evidence, the best information that we have." Obviously, this is not good to see. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to know this. That is not good to see. If more and more places begin to shut down this time, I think you're going to see a lot of businesses ultimately go out of business, even more than the first time, because they're going to be in that situation where, or you're going to see businesses rather in that situation that barely got through the first time, and they're still way, way behind on the numbers they were doing before, but they managed to get through it, and this second wave will just be too much for them to handle, and they're ultimately just going to have to close down. But this could definitely affect the markets here in the United States, because investors might get afraid that, like I said, what we saw before, we saw countries close down before, and then it came to the United States. And I really feel like once we see one state shut down, it's going to be a little bit of a domino effect. We might see one, then two, then five, and then before you know it, the whole country's in lockdown mode. If it does come to that, I really think it might be a domino effect here. And if that does happen, I really feel like we're going to see a decline in the market. I feel like you've seen what the Dow did before. It was dropping like 2,000 points a day or stuff like that back in March and April. And it was just ridiculous. The trading had to be halted several times on some trading days because the market just kept going down, 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 and there was just a ton of blood in the street. So we're going to see those low levels on the Dow again. I really don't know. I don't know exactly how low the market's going to go. No one knows how low the market's going to go. But in my opinion, we are definitely going to see a decline very shortly with those three things that I just named, because they are very important factors that will have dramatic impact on the stock market very shortly. That's gonna be it for this video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you don't mind hitting that thumbs up, that really helps out the YouTube algorithm in a massive, massive way. And I really do appreciate every one of you that is part of the thumbs up gang. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel as well. Turn that notification bell on for future videos. As I've said before, we are gonna be pushing out more and more content every week. And I will see you guys in the next video.